Good
Too much. You're doing too much. You're doing too much.
Good morning, and welcome to Monday with the Moors. I am Terrence Moore.
So, good morning. I'm Cheryl Moore.
As
Because
you-
after that, he takes all the thunder.
Thunder, what are you talking about? I don't understand this. I don't understand.
Hmm.
This is just like a great day. And honestly, man, a lot happened. This is why I am glad that we do live. This is one of the reasons
This is morphing into a podcast that will be recorded.
but
That's a podcast, and you upload it in episodes.
But in the now, in the current state of America, we live.
As we take our baby steps.
We ain't rushing to do anything. But you know what? I think the reason why I'm saying that that I'm happy that we're live. We're talking about partnerships. We're talking about spiritual partnerships. We're talking about relationship. There's a lot that happened yesterday. Politically. We are
This is not a political podcast.
No, but this is about how we relate to our political system, how we relate to our nation, how we relate to systems, and preconceived ideas and who's where, what, how, and everything else. And I think the thing for me is that, we're kind of time stamping this right now, where that President Joe Biden has decided not to run for re-election. And he has decided to endorse his vice president, Kamala Harris, who is African-American, Caribbean, Indian mix, and diverse woman. And I think that, I think that one of the things that's really resonating with me is we keep hearing this. We heard this with Hillary Clinton, former first lady. Are we ready for a woman leader? And I think that we have to really have this somewhat real conversation, really look at ourselves as how do we view women in leadership? What is our relationship with gender? And good morning, Apostle King.
Good morning to those watching. So that's Terrence's.
That's just me.
That's Terrence.
Especially a Black woman.
That's me. That's Terrence. That's not me. Where I'm at is vote. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put that in my little thing right now online. Vote.
And I'm not saying I am pro that, but I'm looking at in
You're
gender.
Not pro what?
I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm not picking a party. I'm putting that out there.
Oh, okay.
I'm not picking a party, but that's why I said
exercise your right to vote.
And I think I think we have to look at. I think we as a society have to look at how we look at and relate to women, genders, and how we look at in leadership, and we really need to we are in 2024, and we're still struggling with that aspect of gender leadership.
The United States of America is one of
that far too. I'm not touching that one.
I need you to stop interrupting me. The United States of America. The United States of America.
It's Apostle King's fault.
I need you to stop it, or I'm going to move your chair off this live.
Who put me in the corner?
I don't know why people think we can get on here and be real. I tell Terrence that all the time. Shut up.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do. Talk too much.
No, you don't tell me shut up now.
I do.
When?
You might not hear it, but I'm
saying okay. Because it don't come out that mouth. You be saying that in your spurt.
And we're having a very strong conversation. I say a lot. More than shut up.
That depends on the level of discussion.
Not yelling, but the level of the discussion does call. When you're dealing with a strong this, and some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all in these meetings will walk in the room.
I'll be the first, like, who are you talking
Don't
to?
read the room, coming in, jolly good fella, and something serious.
And then who are you talking to?
I need to do a consulting business. Tame Terrence. That needs to be the consultant.
Do you have a Terrence in your life?
No, this one. I only know this one. This is the only one I'm never going to know. All right.
Well, go ahead.
What I was going to say, the United States of America is one of a few countries, and I say countries, main players that have not experienced a woman in leadership. There is the energy of the masculine and feminine energy in the earth system that God has created in this universe. And you need both. And there are seasons that we experience, and even in our partnership, where some are more dominant than others. Mm-hmm. I don't even want to say dominance, but have a strong role in a shift. When we think about the diversity of women, and a story I am going to tell later is where I am right now in my own career shift of being I ascribe as a Black woman, an African-American woman. That's me. And the strength that we bring into systems that the warfare is continual and is a continual avenue that we stride down. There's very little breathing room. There's very little opportunity to catch our breath. And in that, the timing of it all, the resource and the support has to be there. When I think about this partnership that this white man, this Black woman has had, I can relate to that. I've had a very amazing leader in my life in the last 3 years of my being at Alverno College. Well, not the total 3 years. I would say a little over two and a half before he transitioned into presidency. And I can say a lot about transition and change and dealing with broken systems. I saw that at Cardinal Street. I've seen that in higher ed completely. But when it comes to the strength of partnership, I personally experienced it with having a white male and being a Black woman reporting to a white male that understood and carried what I call the Quaker anointing. That was a Quaker to open doors, to push forward my agenda, vision, strategic plan. And I believe that in this, if there is no Quaker to be found, there's a reckoning to be had. Right. Because as soon as the Quaker left the scene, that as soon as he transitioned, all hell broke out. And I feel
that's a different type of leader.
That's a different type of leader. And it's a partnership that when you're looking at that has to be in place for years and years and years for that. And I always say we're still grappling in the earth with the profound anointing and oil of Harriet Tubman that falls on men and women to liberators, the liberation. So
now is that, and that's from the principal aspect versus infecting many systems about liberation, whether it's in
all
professional,
systems, even your
financial,
life, your
political,
life.
All those things.
And I think Terrence and I experience that in our personal life, where there's a liberation here. Terrence to be very traditional. And I think we came into our marriage, both of us, we came in from a traditional way of what I saw my dad do as a provider, and my mom had her own career in ministry, that. But it's taught that the primary provider is the male. But when I went to school, when he goes to school, we kind of swap places along the way. When we were raising our sons, we really wrecked that in terms of the career paths we chose because we didn't want our kids growing up latchkey. I wanted to be at field trips. We fought over field trips. You want to know what the worst fights were? Field trips.
Yeah, and I was and
the ranking ones are finance and field trips.
Because I also had a career shift where I went into real estate for that same reason,
right?
Because I wanted the flexibility, what entrepreneurship, and that's a whole different story. And then,
oh my God,
and then the flexibility of
y'all put in the chat if y'all want to hear about that.
And then,
excuse me. God.
And then the idea of also a flexibility of a Black father being there for his sons
were huge. But again, I also go back to that's a form of liberation. We only do what we understand until we do something different, and we challenge the norm of what was expected of us on a lot of different planes of what looked normal. I remember when we, and I have I have cousins that I'm very family and friends. We just came back from South Carolina celebrating my dad's 80th birthday, and I had a chance to see a lot of my cousins and a lot of family, a lot of friends. And it was interesting how, a lot of them are still online, so I get to stay connected. Praise God for advancement in the internet. And what was interesting, they remember Cheryl saying they're moving to Wisconsin. The first big step was I left Medical U and I went to
University of South
Carolina, and I went and ascribed for a contract, worked for another agency at the Naval Base to move my career in human resources. Oh my God, how could you leave? How could you leave this retirement system? How could you do this? Now, I wasn't even making $20,000. I think I was making over $20,000 at the time. But it takes something different to do something different, even if it doesn't turn out the way you expect it. And I think that's what I like about our marriage.
Yeah.
I like about our life. Even if it didn't turn out, we did something different, right? Our kids have passports. I think TJ was in elementary school, right? Barely in elementary school. I think he was in second grade, and this guy was traveling internationally. My kids were both hand babies of 6 weeks old and had already had miles flying. And
man, we should have registered for frequent flyers.
We should have done. But at that time, they could fly to like 2 for free. So,
but they were big.
It was something when you reckon out to do something different. And what that looks like, different is always not a despair and not to be despised. And people will tell you it's not going to work because they don't know.
Or they haven't tried it.
They haven't tried it.
In fear.
I think with my career change and shift that's happening with my current employment and what I'm up against now, I'm going to do something different. I don't know what that looks like. And I'm trusting, I have faith and to believe that all things are going to work out.
Now, did you have, okay, I don't want to interrupt you, but, well, I just did. But you
see this?
But you bring it in, and I wanted to, really discuss that reality, because we all go through a shift, and many of us are faith-based. We talk about, faith and everything like that. But when it comes to a shift, fear does creep in. And even when you see that it's the right thing, even when you feel it and you are, and it's known in the depths of your bones and in your spirit, this is the right thing. This is what God is saying. This is what my spirit is saying. I know this aligns with my destiny. I'm scared. And especially when you can't see it. It does come in
with fear, but I would say when it comes to our marriage, the times that we have been in rocky spaces and places were the times that something like this, and this time we're not. I would say on this side of us being in our 50s, when we're kind of done with all of that, right? It does smooth out where it's that gravy train that you're riding now.
But it wasn't
easy that way. But for people who are in partnerships, marriages, relationships, whatever, it's the reason that the tension comes up. I'm just saying for us now.
Yeah.
This is just us ascribing to what we saw. When you're grappling with what to do next, or something comes up, or a tribulation comes up, it's because there's not enough risk involved. The risk temperature, the risk notch has to be turned up, and it causes.
Oh, I would have to say governed, because mine was turned up a lot.
It needed to be turned up a lot. And I know you're never going to hear me say that again, but you're going to hear that now. It needed to be turned up a lot. And Terrence is an entrepreneur. We've had successful businesses and failed businesses, but it pushed me to be creative. I'm a creative. And if I didn't come up creative financing, creative ways for us to work and for living, it was the complement to what was generating there. We know that now. I don't think we really understood that then. But there's some risk that needs. There's too much comfort. When you're too comfortable, you get complacent, you get stagnant, you lose your edge, and you age faster. When you accept those things, but to keep others where your wisdom is being poured and you're involved in others' welfare, well-being, of pouring into the next generation and keeping that vitality going in who you are, the risk is low. So the risk notch needs to be turned up. It's like if you're cooking something on the stove and you started off and it's simmering. At some point, this has started off at high boil and then you turn it down to simmer. Sometimes you need to turn that nozzle up a little bit in that, and it needed to be.
And I'm the one that usually turns up the nozzle.
Unfortunately, well, yeah, I think this time the nozzle is turned up because I'm walking and I'm getting unstuck out of some complacent areas that are long overdue of my taking the helm of being the leader that I am. It's being able to even say that, to even come forward in the creativity and things like that, but to have that space to do that.
But you know what, even with saying that, with coming to that understanding and knowledge of becoming a leader, that is a whole journey in itself, especially if in a society that sometimes that may doubt your leadership or may question your leadership, and all of a sudden you internalize that doubt within yourself. Am I truly that leader? You may say it out of your mouth, but sometimes outside pressure and then your own self-doubt can cause you to think that maybe I'm not the leader that I think I am, or maybe it's not the leader that I'm hoping to be. And then there's this other dynamic that when you begin to doubt, that there are people around you that say, you are a powerful leader.
Right.
And you're going, I don't feel that way. But people notice that about you. And I think that's one of the things that you're in that internal conflict of, I know I'm the leader that I need to be, but then you don't fully accept it. And then there's other people who are actually validating what they're seeing, and that you need to accept that as well. We have to grow into that and accept those things that people do see and observe. And then sometimes we have to look at and ask, why? What are you seeing in me that makes you say that I'm a leader? What is it? And some people may say you are X type of leader, and you're doubting, no, that's not me. But somehow they're seeing it. I think we have to continue. We have to continue to evolve and not call it like an ego thing or whatever the case is, and ask that question, because sometimes we have blind spots in our own lives. We have blind spots that's within us that prevents us from growing, that prevents us from evolving, that prevents us from really growing into what God has really created us to be. And that takes a lot of self-examination. That takes a lot of acceptance. That takes a lot of also removing of the ego and accepting truth and humility, and really walking in that and moving in that. And just really moving in it
into another flow, because you're saying a bunch of chunky things.
But this is part of a journey, though.
It is. I'm not refuting it. I'm saying slow down. As the old people say, slow your roll. But I guess I consider myself aged. I'm not going to say I'm old. But what I am going to say, when you say it takes a lot of humility, one of the things that we agree to is, just not throwing a lot of stuff out there, because I could do that in any other venue. But here, this is our show. So we get to explain these things, because I feel like over my life, that's been my frustration. I hear all this good content, but you're not giving me any application.
All right.
Like, we can sit up here and say, oh, how did you do it for 31 years? And people say, oh, you have trial and errors, communication, and all that.
What does that mean?
What does all that mean? Because all of our communication has not been godly. Let's just stop. All of our communication has not been friendly. It's not been joyful towards one another. It was a lot of unraveling in that. No. And, people just don't want to say things like that. And that's when I go back to this partnership of, we see all these wonderful pictures online. We see all this wonderful thing between our candidate, our president stepping down, or roll it back in. And now his recommendation of the nominee for president. We're looking at this, we're smiling at it. But what does all that mean? There's a lot of things behind the scenes and that are not talked about, right, that at this point need to be at the forefront of our lives. Because I always used to say this when we would be pastoring, lives are on the line. Mm-hmm. And truly, I still believe that. I believe my life is on the line. Yes. And I woke up really more intentional this morning of, listen, girlie, you're on the other side of 50. All of these grandiose dreams I've had for years, every day is passing me by. And that's the content that we need to look at when we are striking relationships and partnerships. Is this holding me back, or is this pushing me even further into a space of making a decision that I want to live my life to the fullest and to the best? I can't live in somebody else's past. Ooh. I can't live in somebody else's expectation.
See, that's the part you want to break down. You can't live in somebody else's past.
I'll give you an example.
Telling me just throwing stuff out. That's a good one.
I got an example.
Come on, talk about it.
When I made the comment, I'll say this. Just because you've done it doesn't mean I don't do it. I don't get to do it. You want me to live based on your experience and not me experiencing it myself. And that's just like, one of my dreams is to, like, I've not been in the military, right? People who have been in the military, I know they do one, it's not called a rotation.
Tour duty.
Deployment. They're deployed tour duty, typically at least abroad. Okay, I've traveled abroad. Yeah, that's great. But I want to travel more. And I want somehow, that needs to relate to my career. Mm-hmm. That needs to relate to my expertise and experience. Mm-hmm. Just because you've done that and you've lived that life, you then put up barriers or say, oh, I'm not doing that. Whatever, you're too old to do or whatever. But that's not me.
Right.
But you want me to be okay. Ooh. That you've done it, and because I know you or whatever, then that's good enough for me. I've already done that, so don't do that. What?
Like as though your experience will be tied to theirs?
Right. So I am to embrace that experience without having my own. No.
I've already done that for you, so you don't have to do that.
That's what we would think. And here's the caveat to that, right? The caveat to that is the fact that, do you know how much we all live like that? And then we allow that to stop us. That's like, oh, somebody say, hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. I'll give, like, our son is getting ready to go graduate school abroad. I taught abroad, and I've done some study in my career in education, but I've done some research. But this dude is actually going to get a degree and probably will end up living abroad, right? Wow. Do what I haven't done. Do what he hasn't done, right? break
But always
the
thought about
chains.
dreaming. Yeah.
Right. Dreaming. And so if I was to say, oh, I've already taught abroad, I've already studied abroad, then and he follows that, that's wrong. That's confinement, right?
Right.
That's bondage. And we had to get uncomfortable here, being okay that others may not agree. And that's hard to do. That's hard to do as a minority couple. I don't care.
Hard for you to do.
It's hard for Terrence to do too.
That depends on the situation.
Depends on the situation. But when we realize that we address it head on.
Yeah.
Now we do, but we didn't do before. And I would say,
no.
Look at that and breathe and do it. Woo! Let me say that again. Man, I'm about to cry because I woke up thinking to myself, how many dreams I've allowed to be caught up in the limitation of other people. Man, people hear me this morning. My regret is deep. My regret is deep with imposter syndrome of what I'm not qualified, what I'm not good enough for. Everybody, if you watch this replay and you share it, understand my heart this morning, because I am so real about this segment of my life. We're here for no games. Whatever your dreams are, to be married, to travel, to do it. And don't let nothing stop you at getting it done. Because we can't redeem this time. I literally sat down with Terrence yesterday and said, I'm amazed at, we had a chance to visit Katasha. I'm like her mini mom. Right? His older daughter, but I'm mini mom. Her, stopped in to visit her, looking at her life move on now. Looking at, Josh stopped by yesterday, got his own place, almost graduating, stopped with a great surprise.
Yep.
Yesterday. And, baby about to go abroad. I literally could get stuck in that because I was a part of it. But now what about me? Don't put yourself on the back burner. And we, at points in our life, we grew up right along with our children. I feel like
I'm so glad we did that.
We did that, and then we lost it when we got caught up in other people's problems and pastoring and serving and things like that. And now I have to get back on that train. What I'm saying is, whatever, even if it's a long shot, even if you're not ready, you're not do it afraid, do what needs to be done. And I now have to read. I have to. Mm-hmm. Can I say this to you?
Yeah, babe.
Babe, I have to redeem my risk taking.
Dang.
I don't even know what to say. I feel bad. I don't feel bad that I'm ending this live with tears. But man, I know it sounds like we're just talking. But I have to redeem my risk taking. I have to bring the redemption of the risk taker in me back. And you want to do that. Because it does fuel the relationship. It brings conversation and creativity. And I've lost that being very politically savvy when I should have been a savage. Now, Terrence can do that. But I'm saying that for real. So I hope that that's where I'm at. The redemption of the risk taker. And I hope that does something to you, because we have one life to live. And I keep thinking to myself, I've served so much, and usury that's going to be our next, I can't say it's going to be the next one because we flip. Usury has been at the top of God's agenda to heal and deliver me out of being used without there being substantive return. God is a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't get a return, which means I didn't get an adequate return for what was invested to some others, to some ventures, some dynamics in my life.
Right.
I gotta redeem my risk taker.
Wow. Wow.
So you're very welcome. You're very welcome. You know, I don't know if I hate being it because I'm a crybaby. I just, and that's the other thing. I would be stop all that crying, stop all that crying. This is who I am. And it
Yeah,
took
that's
a
true.
lot of years because I built up barriers to protect myself, but I value my vulnerability. But I lost the risk taking because I based it if I fail, what would someone say? If it didn't, what? And then I thought in my head, let me tell you, the mind is a powerful place to play games with you. To say, if I write this, nobody's going to read it. If I do this, no one. Listen, I got the story. And I understood why the writing wasn't right. My writing wasn't ready because I wasn't ready.
Ooh, that's good.
Right.
And that's honest.
It is honest. I wasn't ready. And I didn't experience, I needed to do a tour.
Dang. You had to do a tour before you wrote.
Right. Black in the workplace. not
black
your
black
best
that should cover
title.
the land.
Listen.
Black folk leadership.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Listen, redeem your risk taker. That's all I can say. Yes. Redeem the risk taker. Because what do we have to lose? What do we have to lose? What do I have to lose? And if you don't, and I started to do this disclaimer.
Uh-oh.
Don't text me, email, call me, buzz me, nothing if you don't like what I got to say. At 56, I should have some freedom in that. And I think I'll give myself freedom. But
you know me, I don't care.
Redeem that risk-taking factor. Fear of failure is a huge beast and monster.
It's real.
And we want to get comfortable. But I look at all the greats. Nobody got where they are being comfortable. You don't get to where you want to go. I'm from the South, so I'm going to be real Southern with it. You don't get to where you want to go being comfortable.
That's true. That's facts.
Right. So thank you for letting me share my tears.
That was great. That was very transparent. That's what's needed. I truly believe at this point in time, that the truth and transparency, and stop the fronting and stop the faking and stop the impostoring. It's not healthy for you and it's not healthy for others.
And make sure you have your support system. Like I got a great support system. I have a great marriage. I have a great partner, and I have a great family of great people in my sphere, my circle. And make sure that that circle, it doesn't have to be complete. Let it start with you.
Yes.
Right? You bring things full circle. You're enough. And that whole thing, I had to reckon with that. I am enough.
Well, that's enough for today. Yeah. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell folks about the other platform of YouTube. This is, I love that. I love it.
Strong pull to just jump. Nancy, do not write something like that at the end of the
No. Because see, I can feel Cheryl just about to open up and unleash that part of what you just said. No, we're not going to do that today. Nancy, you need to talk earlier. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway.
Ooh, all right.
She meant to do it.
I know. We're not charge. It's Apostle King for starting with the getting on my with the woman thing and asking that question, and look here and look at. So sorry. You're not sorry. You're not sorry. Stop it, because we all know you're not sorry.
Next week. But getting past yourself, and part of that is what I just said. I had to come to realize I needed to redeem the risk taker in me. That's a redemptive journey that I didn't just start. I started that. And that's huge.
That's huge. All right. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
We thank you for your patience last week. You know, we were traveling, and as we mentioned earlier, we were with our families and celebrating my father-in-law's 80th birthday, and this meeting, spending time with family. So again, thank you for your patience and allowing us to be us, because family is first, God's first, family second, everything else is whatever.
Yeah. And we're just going to end this with the declaration.
Go ahead.
Redeem the risk taker in you.
Ooh, that's it. Until next week, Monday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Share with friends. Tell them we're going to be back. You all take care. God bless you. Love you too, Nancy.
Love you.